Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian.
And I'm Ethan.
And in this video, we're bringing you a 75-point Warmachine battle report between Cryx and Circle. So I decided to bring Cryx this time, the original edgelords of Warmachine, and this is their debut on the channel, so this should be fun. My list is Warwitch Deneghra, so Denny 1, and she's playing in Scourge of the Broken Coast, which is definitely, I would say it's my favorite theme for Cryx. I just really like the models that it brings and I think it does a lot of cool stuff. But my list isn't super out of the norm. It's her battle group is going to be a Satyxis Blood Priestess with Kharybdis, a Deathripper, and a Nightwretch, and then we're bringing a bunch of cool solos with Axiara, Severa, and Gerlak. I do have a Misery Cage in here because I just had 2 points left over and figured it would be okay for this list. Mostly I don't have anything else I want to put 2 points into, so it's here. I am bringing a min unit of Blood Witches with the Blood Hag. Those will be ambushing this game. And then I have a max unit of Satyxis Raiders with the Sea Witch. I do have a unit of Satyxis Gunslingers to try out here because I think Denny 1 really pumps them up, so they should do well here. And then finally, I have a unit of Bloodgorgers with Jussika, or Jussika Bloodtongue.
Juicy J.
Yeah, she's juicy. And I have her in Bloodgorgers because they just with Deneghra, their low POW doesn't really bother them too much, and being able to overtake in Berserk just means that I can just delete units. Now, when you take a look at Ethan's list, it's going to be a little bit like, Brian, what are you doing? This is not really the greatest matchup in the universe. My lists were both heavy infantry for this one, and I just had to pick the one that I thought was going to do the best. So without any more ranting, we'll go over to Ethan. What are you playing?
So I'm playing Mohsar in Tharn, and his battle group, he's got a Blood Shaman, a Gorax, a Wild Argus for some Doppler Bark action, and a Warpwolf Stalker. My first rec option is a Lord of Feast. I got a Gallows Grove, Brazen and Call, a unit of Blood Weavers, which we'll be ambushing because we have an ambush off, max Blood Trackers without Nuala, and then 2 units of Ravagers, both with UA, and then a Boil Master and Cauldron. And then both my lists were pretty much heavy infantry, but I like the utility Mohsar brings, and I wanted to get him on the channel.
So I won the roll-off to go first, which is now starting to turn into a trend for me, and with no bonuses too. So you can kind of see my deployment here is a little clumped up. I know that I haven't played against Mohsar in a really long time, but I'm just going to run my stuff up like I normally would because I just want to try and connect as early as possible. I'm not too worried about any terrain features that might be hanging around here because I have Ghost Walk and I have that Blood Priestess who isn't going to always get that spell off. She needs to kill something to make it work, but it's something that I can do. I'm not too worried about the ambush on the bottom side of the screen because those ladies are they're gonna just touch the Bloodgorgers and they're gonna die because I believe they have grievous wounds, right?
Yes.
So no, I'm not going to worry too much about things down there, but I am going to be a little bit more careful about the top side. You can see that my Satyxis Gunslingers are kind of hugging that rock, and now I've got to unpack my Satyxis Raiders, and this is funky. As I look at it, I could have just ghost walked this unit to get them over that stupid rock, but I decide to just conga line them behind it and kind of clump them up a little bit. And I'm sure if you wanted to kill yourself drinking alcohol, you could turn the drinking game, or play the drinking game, how many Satyxis Raiders fall down. And every time one falls down, you take a drink. That is inadvisable, but it happens a lot, trust me.
They're just so big now.
They are, and now that metal, the whip is metal and the rest of them is resin, so they're a beautiful unit. I love the sculpting on them. It's just precious. But the weight balance is really screwbally. So now you've got, you see Axiara's in the middle, Gerlak's in front, he's getting ready to go off and charge like crazy, and then Deneghra and the Blood Priestess are running up, and I think Kharybdis got in there too, so my arc nodes are on the side. I'm trying to keep those out of ambush range because I really just don't want to have to deal with it. I know it's only turn 1 and he can't do it right away, but I'm just trying to protect myself for later.
So going into my turn, it's worth noting that Prey from Brigand and Call is on Kharybdis, and then the Blood Trackers have preyed the Satyxis. And the first thing I measure out is how far my control area goes, because Mohsar can either do two things. He can be very, very proactive with sands of fading around, Doppler barking, crevassing, spraying, or he can be really passive with his pillars, put up Sunhammer, and then just kind of play the long game. I like to play him super proactive. So what I'm measuring is where I can teleport from where I'm currently standing, because if I aim, I can teleport and now get the aim bonus and then spray down and also crevasse. So the pop moved up gave me Puppet Master, and then this is what the Blood Trackers are all about in this list. They're pretty expensive at 15 points, and I'm pretty much killing 2 a turn by myself, but like that's what they do.
Yeah, they get where they want to, and this is why you don't have Nuala on them, because if you wanted them to do work, you'd have her there, but you really don't need her. They're just Sand of Fate targets.
Yep. So I'm hiding behind the woods, staying out of Bloodthirst threats, because with their speed 6 AD, when Mohsar goes first, he threatens 3 or 2 inches, I believe it's 3, I'd have to redo the math, into your opponent's AD line. I have top of one a unit off the table with Crevasse, which feels real dirty, but feels real good. But I always warn my opponents every game, like, if you deploy full distance, I'm killing that unit. So back to my deployments. I got Ravagers on top, Ravagers on the bottom, and then pretty much everything else is central. And I'm just kind of doing up everything else. Moving the Ravagers. I've left 1 in ambush threat just for some vengeance triggers. I can't stay outside of crippling grasp and parasites threat, so I just got to get up the board, as much as I hate it, because my units do not like arm debuffs. When you're arm 15 and you have Denny's feet, like, it's real bad. And then there, I'm just moving up that unit, staying out of ambush with a couple, staying outside of charges, because I only threaten 11 without vengeance. My plan this turn is not to proc vengeance. My goal is to try and whittle down the Satyxis and try and do as much. And then typical Tharn stuff, I'm going to be moving all the corpses at the end of my turn just because they get in the way, and it's a real pain. And now I think Gorax is running up. I've riled my lights. The tree moves up, so next turn, if it's able to, I can port onto the flag. Because my list is pretty light on souls. I only have 3. So the Lord of the Feast is hanging towards the bottom. The Gallows Grove is in the middle, and the Blood Shaman's towards the top. So, like, that's kind of where they're going to be leaning. I end up... I believe I missed the Blood Shaman harmonious exaltating me. So now Mohsar goes. He maltreats, so he's up to Fury 9. Sands of Fates for 1 thanks to Harmonious, so I'm sitting on 8 Fury, aiming 3 inches outside your zone.
Yep.
So now I'm aiming down the line at Gerlak. So that catches Gerlak, your Tactician Bubble, and Kharybdis.
Yep.
So I boost on the Tactician bot, because I don't think Tactician matters so much this game, but like every time I play into this theme, I despise Tactician on a stick.
She's got some nice battle plans too, and she actually does quite a bit of work herself. Again, like, there's also, you don't have a lot of solos, and I do.
Yep.
So getting rid of those and taking away my scoring options early is good. Like, I didn't want to give up Axiara or Gerlak like this, but they just kind of lined up in the perfect place for you to be able to do this.
So I boosted damage on Gerlak. He failed his tough, because there's a mapping out. I need 2 Fury to get back, and I'm going to be throwing out a cute Crevasse, and I want to camp 1. I end up having, at dice plus 1, I have to Puppet Master the damage to kill Severa. I do forget to roll damage on Kharybdis, but we fix that later on, because I have to roll it.
You're rolling on Axiara. Severa's like off
no,
in
Kharybdis.
the corner. No, you said...
I'm going to call them
it's
the wrong
okay,
names.
I get it.
They all look alike to me. Here I'm crevassing, and I'm debating boosting to hit, because I'm like, if I camp 0, do I die? And I was like, I really don't want to die. So I don't boost. I hit it because I'm magic ability 8. And now I'm doing a sweet crevasse going backwards.
I think you clip 4 Satyxis, and one of those is importantly the Hag.
Yes, because I target the Hag, so I'm able to get... I miss 1 Satyxis and rolled a 6 on the rest. So, like,
Yeah, they all
Mohsar...
just go down.
Mohsar has just gone up and killed 6 models by himself.
Yep, and that's really unfortunate for me because the rest of those Satyxis are gummed up behind that stupid rock.
And then he teleports back to safety. Like, I just love playing Mohsar. He's so fun. But as you notice, my clock after turn 1 is down to 43 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty not a whole lot of time. So I've taken some pretty big casualties on turn 1. Again, I understand what Mohsar does, but I just don't play against him enough to where whenever he does pop up, it just gets me. That rock being in my way kind of really stopped me from wrapping the Satyxis where I really wanted them to get to. So this is the world I have to live in right now. 2 of my really techie solo pieces are gone. Thankfully, Gerlak has elite cadre for the Bloodgorgers, so even though he's dead, they still are getting berserk, which is cool. But losing the Sea Hag, it's really unfortunate. Those prayers are really helpful for them. It means that I don't really need to babysit them with Ghost Walk. I instead can just keep it going on the Bloodgorgers. So now I have to try and rally from where I'm at. And Ethan's taken a lot of time, and if you pay attention to Ethan's circle playing on this channel, one of the easiest ways to drag him out is to just clock him.
Yeah,
so Mohsar is definitely in that boat.
Mohsar is my second slowest circle caster to play with, the first one being Wormwood.
Yep, so I'm already thinking that, Brian, as long as you don't take a long time to do all this stuff, you should be in a good, advantageous position. So I decide to run my Nightwretch that's on the bottom up a bit, and I just want to get him within Crippling Grasp range, and if I do lose him to some ambushing Blood Witches, then... Blood Weavers, sorry.
You have the Witches.
I have the Witches. Yeah, our lists are really weird. Like, we've got 2 big units. We've got 2 ambush units that essentially do the same thing.
I have 3 big units, sir.
I guess I don't have 3 big
My
units.
blood trackers are basically your Satyxis, but I have I guess my 2 units of Ravagers equal a unit of Bloodgorgers.
They equal the Bloodgorgers,
but
roughly.
I have 7 dudes in each
unit. Bloodgorgers plus Jussika plus Gerlak would be equal at that point. So we're similar, and we also have a unit that is almost exactly the same in the ambushing units. So I think this is Deneghra boosting the Crippling Grasp into that bottom unit, so I'm happy those are down there because...
I'm not happy.
They should have a hard time dealing with the Bloodgorgers then at armor 18 against melee attacks, so I'm feeling okay with that. And their tough checks are going to probably help stop some of their overtake shenanigans, so I'm just feeling good with this. Deneghra's last order of business is to just ghost walk this unit, because I've got a couple of these guys that can get a charge, and I know that I'm just kind of falling into the gap of proccing Vengeance, but honestly, I think with the amount of work that the Ravagers can get done, especially with this unit, or on this unit, everyone I can take is going to be saving me 4 models. And if you take a look at the way I've decided to position all of them, could have been even saving me more by just getting rid of one of them. So this kind of sets my engagement lineup pretty far, so I don't mind triggering Vengeance on this unit, especially with Overtake. I get to spread out a little bit and maybe control where Ethan gets to go. So I don't feel like this was a terrible idea. I just get my stuff up further and put some pressure on Ethan, and every single one of these Tharn I can take out is good for me. So now I think I'm looking at unpacking the Satyxis Gunslingers, and before I landed Crippling Grasp on here, I was like, I need to get Crippling Grasp, and I need to get Ghost Walk on this unit so they can get over the wall, or not so much over the wall, but more so through that rubble when they're charging through. And one of the other things I was wanting to do this turn was get out Parasite. But as I was doing the math and worried about Mohsar coming in on Deneghra, I decided that it was better for me to just camp, because I think I couldn't do everything. One of them I had to just not boost, and Crippling Grasp was so important to me that I didn't feel like I couldn't not boost it. And I did use the Puppet Master objective for this one, and I didn't need it, so I decided to camp the rest of my focus instead of trying to do anything else with it, which I only have 2, so again, can't cast Parasite. But I put these girls into the Ravagers, and they don't really do anything.
They kill one.
I thought that I didn't even kill the one.
No, it took 2 of them.
Okay, it took 2 of them to kill one, but that's triggered Vengeance for them, and I haven't ambushed anything to try and get the ambush target off the side, so the one that kills gets to run and gun because of Severa's Field Marshal, or not Field Marshal, her...
Elite Cadre.
No, I don't think she...
Or Leadership. I thought it was Elite
I think it's
Cadre.
Leadership for her. But she gets to sprint backwards, and if Parasite was on those, I think the Satyxis Gunslingers then have an easier time taking them down. But I really wanted that Ghost Walk on those Bloodgorgers so that they could get into the other unit. Maybe,
I think, like, looking at it now, I think you could have got away without the Ghost Walk.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too as I sit here. I'm like, maybe the Ghost Walk just wasn't needed. But that's the world I'm living in. Next up, I run the Satyxis up, the Satyxis Raiders, and then Kharybdis kind of fills the gap between there. Also, I'm still kind of chunked up from my weirdness on turn 1, but this is kind of where things lay out for me.
So going into bottom of 2, I am currently 2 minutes, now 1 minute, above Brian after he's taken a whole turn, because that is hashtag Mohsar problems. If you're going with the proactive approach, like the Sands of Fate, all his attacks just take time.
It's like hashtag Mohsar at Ethan.
Yeah, it's bad. Like even when I played him, like he was in my pairing for a long time because I thought he was super fun. You just have to accept that in some matchups like this one, he literally has no feat. Like his feat is bad when it's really bad, and then when it's really good, it's really good. And literally the only time it's been really good is when I play in the Trolls, and that just feels like kicking just a sick horse, and it feels bad. Like Trolls really do not like Mohsar's feat, and if you don't know, it is Miles can't leech Fury while in his control and can't have Fury leached from them, and Warjacks can't power up. So that means like you can't leech from the stone. All your low threshold Fury 5 War Beasts really don't like it. But here all it means is you lose 3 focus. Yeah, and like the Arc Nodes probably don't even care.
Before we get too far, you got to see Ethan's lovely face while he was ambushing his Blood Witches on the bottom. No, Minor Witches.
Blood Weavers.
Yours are Weavers.
Yep, on the bottom, because I'm going to try and go for the top with the Tharn. I vengeanced forward with both units. No attacks on top, and now I'm charging in. I'm going to be popping mini feet. I got 2 on the Arc Node, and then onto various Satyxis there.
Yeah, those are, I think you charged 1 Raider, and then the rest are like Gunslingers.
Yeah, but they're all Satyxis in my mind.
Yep, well, they are.
So my plan is like with the UA to try and do the daisy chain, but I start from the other side just to do some damage on the Arc Node. I boost the hit because I need 7s, and I'm really hoping to take out his movement, which I miss with the first one. I mean, like, I hit, but I don't get his movement. Boost the second guy, and then I kill him by rolling a 15 at dice +1.
Yeah, it hurts. Like, if you hit the Satyxis, they just die. And this is like, I really wish I would have just like reassessed the Ghost Walk situation and put Parasite on these guys, because then the Gunslingers are reliably taking out Tharn. Because this is what I get for not being for being not too aggressive, but maybe just a little bit coy on my focus. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I just didn't cast the right spells because these Tharn are just destroying that top side of the table.
They need 7s to hit, and like that one Tharn is just going on a daisy train.
Yeah, you're not boosting any of these, so you're just like, I'm just going to keep going for 7s until it happens, and he ends up starting outside of the flag, and now he's contesting my zone.
Yeah, like I was not expecting to contest the zone. My plan this turn was to show off the new and improved Pillars of Salt spell, which if you aren't aware with the errata they did like a year ago now, and they said they were going to fix it, it is now a model. So being a model, it contests because they didn't want
them stacking on top of each other. I think was what their big.
They didn't want Lord of the
was.
Feast charging it.
Yeah, because you could charge them because it wasn't a friendly model
Yep.
or anything.
So now you can't stack them, and you can't, and they can contest. That's why I like being really proactive with him now, because unlike before, like what I would do is I do like 2 pillars on top of each other, and like the second one's slightly offset, so you'd have to break the first one and then break the second one just to get through. But now it's like it's literally a 2 cost or 1 cost with the Blood Witch spell that says I can test any zone from 16 inches away.
Yeah, it's real. The Pillars of Salt are just one of those things that I don't know if they'll ever really get them right the way they want to. And if they want them contesting, it is what it is. But like, I just feel like Pillars of Salt is such a unique spell that it's kind of hard for them to get it where they want it to be.
Yep. And there I'm running a blood tracker over there because
I wonder what's going to happen with her.
I know. It's like I measured and she's within 2 inches of that whole blob over there.
Yeah, you can kind of see the way that I set this up here where I did not learn from turn 1 and just decided to say, let's just make a perfect line for all these Bloodgorgers.
Well, I mean, you learned your lesson from the crevasse, but now you need to learn your lesson on the Doppler bark.
Yeah.
Because that's the other trick in the arsenal, if you don't know, with Mohsar, with this whole kit of sand defading, teleporting around. The Wild Argus Animus is living and undead models within 2 inches become Def 5 and can't charge. So, like, it just makes things very, very safe. Like, I could have played this turn kind of cagey, just Doppler barked that unit, and then now they can't charge me. That's a big chunk of models in front that can't charge.
Especially ones with 2 attacks and Berserk and Overtake that want to be doing that.
Yeah, but with your feet, I need to try and clear as many as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm down to map 5 because your sweet, sweet spell that I despise.
Good old Crippling Grasp.
So, like, I need actually 7s to hit, and I don't like that. So now I want just not
snakes. You just hit a bunch of 7s on the top of the screen. Like
I know,
nothing.
my luck's like I can't let that happen again. I can't rely on luck.
You basically took like a whole roll of quarters and threw them in the air, and they all came up Ethan.
Yeah. So there I'm maltreating the Gorax because he's just in this list to get used and abused. So now Mohsar is walking up, teleporting up. I did not Harmonious this time because I believe the solo already ran to the flag. So it did cost me 2, so now I'm down to 7 focus or 7 fury. I Doppler bark for 2, and I'm just trying to measure because there is a what's it called? I can't believe why I can't think of words right now. A blood tracker behind my objective where I'm going to teleport back to.
I think it's because we have so many blood things and priestess things. Like we're two very culty armies right now.
Yep. So I Doppler bark. I put up Curse of Shadows, and then I take a swing, and he toughs with no sleeping on the job. So it was just like a free attack. I might as well. And then I'm teleporting back 16 inches. I'm camping 0, but in my mind, nothing can get to me because we walked out, like we measured Denny walking 7, and she can't see through the woods. That bottom arc node is going to be all kinds of contested, and I'm hoping to kill it. So I'm fine putting Curse of Shadows because now my poor Ravagers are POW 11s without Brutal Charge. So, like, that's a sad, mopey time. I send in some Night Witches now. I did Feet just as a screw you to Kharybdis, so now he doesn't power up.
Yeah, Kharybdis is not happy about that.
I know, this is my one way. And now the Bloodweavers are coming in. They're doing Grievous because nothing else really matters. I do the 2 in the rear arc of the Bone Jack or the Bone Chicken because they're mat 10 in the butt with Gang. And, like, as you can tell, I'm rolling pretty good. I do not take out its movement, though, and then the front one misses.
Yep, so right now he has movement, arc node, and cortex. It's like the best position for an arc node to be in after taking 2 really big charges.
He took 3.
3, sorry. Yeah.
I just missed the
one
third
of them
one.
missed, yeah.
So now that's the Lord of Feast going up. He's teleporting in. I gave them Def 5. That way my bird, because the bird always misses when I need it, and then you see him falling over because he's blue tagged to the base for now.
That Lord of Feast has been so abused.
I know. He was going to go on my well conversion, but then, like, mine's, like, missing his antlers. His bird fell off a long time ago, so I want to get, like, a good one. But as you can see, he's threshing through. My plan is I boosted on Janessa. So,
Jussika.
I'm going to call her Janessa because I like to pretend.
Well, now she's
on a
dead,
hill.
so we don't need to worry about it. She just came off the table.
Yep, because he's a POW 15 Thresher.
I would have really liked to have seen her with 8 boxes, just like Gerlak. Like, she might not be the most, like, strong or anything like that, but just an 8-box attachment would have been better for her.
I mean, because the Tharn Chieftain is 8 boxes, so I could see it.
Yeah.
But I guess she's a 5-box attachment on a single wound infantry, so, like,
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't see her being 8. Ravagers are now charging up their 7 inches because of Crippling Grasp down to
is
speed
such a
4.
good spell.
Yep. It is, and I hate it.
And you're trying to respect my ambushers now, too, because it's kind of really telegraphed of where they're going, so you're just kind of trying to not give me everything.
Yep, because with your feat and that, I'm arm 11, so your dudes are dice damage with gang, or dice plus 1?
They're POW 12 on their little sticky knives.
Yep. So now these ones are out of Doppler Bark range. I rolled the hard 7. Overtake. Use his corpse, because they pop mini feet too. I probably should have saved it for next turn. But I figured, like, he's going to feat, I'm going to be mat 3. I try, I hit, he toughs. I don't have any more attacks.
Yep, so now I got 2 Bloodgorgers. I'm really not super happy about that. I was looking forward to, I felt like these guys were going to be one of the units in this army that really helped fight against what Ethan was bringing. And now I've only got 2 left, so it's a real bummer for me.
Brigand and Call move up. Brigand has Tree Walker thanks to Call, so she shoots a shot into Kharybdis. And at dice -6, thanks to Prey and Weapon Master, she does a decent chunk. So she done, I want to say, she did 5 with the first shot, 4 with the second. So
yeah, Kharybdis isn't sitting in the greatest of positions here, and it's really unfortunate because he's a real big do-work piece for this list, and I really don't want him to be in a bad spot.
And then Stalker moves up in case you ambush on the top, so I can try and clear.
So right now we've got Ethan scoring 2 points at the end of his turn, and I don't have anything because I'm being contested. But if you pay attention to the clock at the top of the screen, Ethan's sitting at sub 20 minutes.
I'm at sub 18 minutes after turn 2.
I know, it was real harsh. I mean, you've done a lot. You've like evaporated over half of my army by now. And I got a lot of work to do to try and make it so I don't just lose this game on just attrition alone, because you'll get to the point where you've already taken some of my solos that are wanting to be on flags or do a lot of work. Like Axiara and Gerlak do so much work in this list, and to lose them that early without doing anything is really going to hurt my rubber banding potential for this game. So already I'm on the back foot for the scoring game, and I'm really going to have to try and leverage the time here in order to make it so that you've got to play real fast, maybe slip up a little bit, and have to not forget something, but you'll have to consciously make the decision to not do something that you want to do because you're worried about time. So my big thing here is to just try and get as much work done as I can with the pieces that I have. Thankfully, my ambush unit gets to come in now and be the counter ambush unit, so to speak. It's just that my ambush unit is going to get a couple more interesting charges, and I should have 0 problems dealing with any of these Bloodweavers. Mine have gang also. They have better POW plus strength, and we also have Grievous. In addition to that, I also have the it's not Bloodburst like how theirs is, but it's the one that when I kill something,
Blood Strike or something.
Yeah, it's something, a thing I can't remember, but that's going to help me get rid of some of these Bloodweavers too. So there's just a ton of utility. They can do a lot of work with not a lot of attacks, especially since they have 2 attacks each. Like, there's just really, it's going to be really unlikely for me to not just evaporate that unit.
And then a little thing people like to call the Denny 1 feet turn.
Yeah, the Denny 1 feet turn is going to be rough. So this is the time for me to unpack it. I need to get work done and try and lessen the repercussions or the reaction from Ethan. So I have to feat. I think I jiggle the positioning on Denny a little bit here because I want to try and cover as much of the board as I can. And the big one I want to get in is that Stalker on the top, because I want to try and have that thing not do a whole lot next turn. As long as Ethan isn't unpacking heavies, I'm going to be pretty happy with that, especially since Kharybdis is going to be looking at getting a little close to him. So I end up getting Deneghra in a position where she catches everything on the bottom side of the board except for 1 Bloodweaver, and then she's got the entire the entire table otherwise outside of Mohsar and the Gatorman for the pot. I have the pot, but not like it matters.
Yeah, the pot. Like, unless you're doing attacks into it, he has no movement, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, my whole army is now debuff city.
Yep. It's unfortunate for you, at least. Good for me. So the next thing I decided to do is I think I tried to land a parasite on someone.
Yep.
And I rolled a 3 when I needed a 4. That was really unfortunate, especially since I used my Puppet Master ability from the treasure chest earlier. So that blows.
Yeah, that was rough.
It's such an expensive spell. And not that 3 focuses a lot, especially when I have the Misery Cage hanging around, which has been like stacking corpses like gangbusters. Not that I'm ever going to proselytize the Misery Cage. It should have the same stupid rule as the rack does for corpses, but it's just like, oh, I get stealth. Cool. Like, who cares? I'll complain about Misery Cages forever, but they should have the same rule that racks do.
It is worth noting you didn't boost because you were worried about Mohsar coming in, because the big thing is, like, if I Doppler Bark Denny's arm 13 to my POW 10 stick, and like my stick doesn't do much.
She's 14.
Oh, but it will kill an arm 14 caster if I boost damage on no camp.
Especially, yeah, that was that was my big concern for not want. I figured if I camp 2, maybe it de-incentivizes Ethan from coming in on Deneghra. So I think here I'm working with the Bloodgorgers. They might have had a vengeance attack that didn't do anything.
You tough and knock down a Ravager.
Yeah. So now I've got the other one is just kind of overtaking and berserking where he needs to, and I couldn't get him into a position where that other Satyxis that I just punched wouldn't be able to get hit by it. So we try to figure that out here, and that's why we're rolling back and forth. I'm like, there's really no way. I have to either hit my Bloodgorger or my Satyxis, so I'll just stick with the Satyxis. So, I mean, that's getting rid of some of those Tharn in the bottom is fine. I wish I would have probably gotten a little closer to that central flag, but it is what it is here. Like this is definitely the first time I've used Bloodgorgers in like 4 years. I think it was 4 years because I was all big into 20 Cryx. That's how I'll always be able to date when I played Cryx last was 20 Cryx.
Yep, and that was even like pre a lot of Theme Machine, wasn't it?
I think it was pre Theme Machine, for sure pre Scar 3.
Oh yeah,
I think like
a long time ago.
What was it? The latest caster back then was Jeepers. I can't even remember. I won't spend the time trying to do it because this is a pretty intense turn. So Kharybdis gets into a position where he has reach with his 4 inches to just about every single Tharn that's over here. And I want to try and make sure that as many attacks as he has, or all the attacks that I have, I want them to hit. So I'm not boosting them because I only need 5s to connect with you.
You need 4s because I'm on 11 under your feet.
So 4s, I'm pretty fine taking that risk. And if I hit one of these guys, they just die.
That's why I don't think you needed Parasite on them, because like your dice +3, like Parasite would have been just overkill.
I think there was a different reason why I wanted.
I think it was
because I wanted Severa to get a lot of work done, and I didn't feel like she would have been able to do it without Parasite. But you can see here the Tharn are just falling down in droves. And
I did tough with one.
Yeah, you did tough with one, which was unfortunate, but it was bound to happen.
And you missed the last one.
Yep, I do. I roll a 3 on the last one. So now that means that some Satyxis Raiders have to unpack into the rest of these. My goal on this top side is to try and upset the scenario game, because I know that if Ethan gets the opportunity to score out on this game, that's what he's going to do. Like, instead of having to focus on everything I have, which is not a whole lot right now, he'll be able to focus on just the scenario pieces and clearing those to score. So the best way for me to try and combat this game and run it into the long haul is by scoring points myself. So the Satyxis Raiders unpack into Tharn, and they end up getting rid of the rest of them, and they have enough attacks to where, like, even if they tough, the chances are pretty good that the Satyxis are going to take them down. So next up, with the flag cleared from the Tharn, Severa walks into shooting range of the Blood Witch.
Blood Shaman.
Pops it, and I think I take a shot into the Stalker to see if I do any damage, and I put a few on it. It's not a ton. I think it was like...
You took out half his mind.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot, but it was some. And then after that, I get to run and gun onto the flag, so now I'm successfully scoring this flag, and I'm super stoked about that. So Next up, I think this is we're unpacking the the Blood Priestess decided to go into the Lord of the Feast. I was like, maybe I can get lucky. This was another thing I debated with doing, was going empty on Deneghra to put Ghost Walk on this Blood Priestess. She swings at Mat 7, which is really good for just a Arcane Assist solo. But she ends up leaving the Lord of the Feast on 2 boxes.
Yep, because even under feet, he's still armed 17.
Yep, and I really wanted to kill him to get the ritual sacrifice slaughter thing off, to where it's basically blood boon for Deneghra. It's a blood boon spell slave. So I got close, just not quite close enough. So now we're going with my ambushers that have charged in. I've got 2 on the back blood weavers, just to try and make sure that my arc node gets cleared off. And now we're just kind of moving along and saying we're going to do the little blood spurt thing that they got going on, so I can put POW 7s into the rest of them.
POW 4s, because it's POW equal to strength, and because of your feet, I'm down to strength 4.
Yeah, it's like a wash, because it's the strength and arm go down, so it's not a big deal.
No, you just need 6s to kill, and it's a sad time.
But you can see they evaporate pretty easily, and now we've got some grievous wounds attacks on the Tharn that we're in combat with. So he comes off pretty easy peasy. So I'm glad that we were able to clear that side of the table, because now I just don't have to worry about any of these random weird attacks. And now since my arc node's freed up, it means that he can go do some work too. I decide to move him into the back arc of the Lord of the Feast, and I've positioned him in a way to where he's not like turned right around. He's kind of facing outward towards the flag a bit. And I decide to take a shot with his gun. I know that it's going to miss because my head's out. So that ends up scattering closer to my Blood Priestess, which is unfortunate. But I had asked about Mohsar's control, and based on where he was, he would have gotten his power up, so we put the focus back on him. And I decided to boost damage on the scatter.
Yep.
And that, I think now it's
now
at
he's
the
on
point
2,
he's
because
on
dice
2
minus
boxes.
10.
Yep, so it wasn't real great for him there. I was really hoping to get rid of that Lord of the Feast, but it didn't happen.
So going into my turn 3, I finally have a clock advantage because you're lower clock than me.
Yeah. By what, a minute?
I know, and I still have a whole turn. So I'm doing my vengeance moves are faster than I walk
seconds.
now.
30 seconds.
Because under feet and crippling grasp, I am speed 2, and vengeance moves me 3. So that's a neato fact. I take a swing into a Bloodgorger, miss, of course, because I need a unboosted 7. Pulling all my fury. And then I'm trying to measure out what I'm going to do this turn, because I need to put the final push, and I want to see if I can get that Stalker up there. I'm like, this is me being greedy, and I'm like, can I get 1 inch? Because I'm down to speed 4. I charge 7. I'm like, that's not 7. And then with that Satyxis there, I cannot get reach. I have to go straight forward. So that Satyxis needs to die for me to get a landing spot. So my plan is, Mohsar will probably pour it over, spray down, maybe crevasse through just to clear, and then the arc node will hopefully teleport up, the tree node, bark node, as if you will teleport up. I'll get Curse of Shadows on Kharybdis, and then hopefully bring him down even through Denny Feet, because he's taking a little bit of a beating. So I'm just trying to plan out. I know my clock's running, but I have a CP lead. It's 3-2. I have an army lead because I have more models, so I need to be smart and do my activation. So it's going to take me a little bit, but I think I can not break his back, because I'm under his feet. So like, I know like all this stuff over here, I'm not going to do much. It's just like, I got to do it fast, and I'm not doing it fast.
Yeah, you can't afford right now to not take attacks on some of these units, because they're going, the more you let me get rubber band back into this game by like not attritioning me, the easier it's going to be for me to take pieces from you and make your turns harder to play.
Yep.
And when you're at 12 minutes, you do not want hard turns.
No, I want to try and clear as many of the dudes as I can, because I'm worried about that flank collapsing.
Yeah.
And then you starting to contest my zone, because nothing got in my zone. That's why I went up 3-2. So I'm going to automatically go up 4-2 if I contest. And my plan is just put a pillars in your zone because that's super fun. So I'm taking the Ravagers. I clear off some of the ladies that are near the UA. I charged with that one Ravager. I just couldn't turn him because of the flag. He hits the Arc Node and kills it. So now I'm sitting down there pretty okay. Like, he already has Crippling Grasp, but I'm contesting the flag pretty well because I don't want to waste the Lord of the Feast time punching the Witch. But I'm going to walk over. I'm going to try and thresh her. And I believe I boost on the Bloodgorger because I'm more scared of him. And I want to try and get those attacks off the table. Because I'm down to mat 6. I hit him.
No, you boosted on the priest.
Oh, did I?
And you only did, you left her on 2 boxes.
Oh, yep, because I'm down to, because of the boost, I was down to POW 15, down to POW 13, and I rolled really bad.
Yep, so thankfully the priest ends up living.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, because then you would have no souls on that side. I shoot the objective just to teleport into his zone, because I realized, like, I don't want Denny coming anywhere near me, because she's in a position where she could try and push forward if I'm too greedy with Mohsar and try and kill me, so I'd rather she have to turn around, because if I can kill Kharybdis, she's the only thing that can score her zone, so it forces her to go backwards and yield board space to me. So, and I didn't take any attacks into the objective because I wanted to camp the corpses just in case it would make her take some attacks. The ladies are walking up. I'm going to be trying to throw some spears. I missed the first one on the Satyxis I'm engaged with. Second one hits in melee, kills her, even through feet because of prey. I chuck a spear. I actually hit thanks to prey. And then here I chuck, there's one lady left, so I can't cycle prey, and then I miss, which is unfortunate. So prey is still on the Satyxis Raider. And then I'm just measuring contesting, and it turns out that Bloodgorger is just out.
Yep, and this is where I probably could have overtaken to get into contesting, but I just wasn't paying attention to it.
Here's where I get greedy. I decide to go for the point instead of going for the Curse of Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this was risky. The Gorax, or the Pop moves up, Puppet Masters the Stalker. Gorax moves over, primals him, and then riles for 3 because I'm going to maltreat him again. And now this is where I'm realizing Mohsar can't get curse anymore. So I just have to live in that world. But I can crevasse through... oh no, that was Brigid again. She
was shooting to try and get some more damage on Kharybdis.
And she cranked it. Yep, because the feat doesn't affect my gun. So I charge. I boost the hit because even with Primal, I'm at 6, so I need a 6. And I was really worried because if I hadn't primaled him, I'd be mat 4. And I hate the fact I had to primal him. And then I buy an attack. I hard roll the 6. I hit, kill. I buy an attack into the Satyxis. I miss. And then I opt to sprint, which I probably should have just boosted. But I wanted to engage the model on the flag to try and do some cute stuff. And then here, the free strike takes out my mind. Because a Warpwolf at armor 15 is the saddest Warpwolf. I guess it's not as sad as an armor 10.
Yeah.
Because if you bring a Dark Shroud bot, you can get him down to arm 10 with Denny.
Yep, you sure can. But my Dark Shroud piece is on the other side of the table right now.
Yep.
So it would have been really easy for me to just measure out the threat range of the Warpwolf and then kept Kharybdis out just a little bit. But that's the world I got to live in, is I'm down my heavy now.
So Mohsar arced through the tree into the last Bloodgorger, missed, and then had to do it again, and then he toughed. So then I was sitting on 2, and I didn't want to go lower. I was like, oh, I'll heal the mind on him for the frenzy, and I had walked him just out of control of the Stalker, because I just wanted to get fully in the trench. I end my turn.
So Ethan's contested my zone and went up 5 to my 2 now. He still has less than 2 minutes left, so I'm sitting pretty good over here having 8 times the amount of time left on his clock. So he's done a lot of work, and all I really need to do right now is make sure that I don't get in this trap of Ethan being able to end the game on turn 7 with more control points than I do. I have to run his clock out, and the best way for me to do that is to try and keep scoring points on my side while doing everything I can to contest his. You can see Ethan's a little bit on the nervous side, tapping his knees like crazy.
I just got nothing to do because I know you're gonna take a long turn because
You
have time to kill.
You've had turns in this game that have lasted longer than the amount of time I have on this clock. So
That's just hashtag Mohsar problems. You get to watch your opponent teleport around the board and do cool stuff while you're like, I guess I'll just take it.
yeah, I'm down with it. This has been a good time. I always like playing against. It's nice to be reminded of what Mohsar does because then when you run into him randomly, you don't have to be caught by it. But I think since I have the time advantage on Ethan, I'm deciding to take a little bit of extra time to kind of try and unpack my turn. I'm like, my big thing is the only thing that can deal with the Lord of the Feast is Deneghra. There's legit nothing else I can do here. So I decide to start my turn off by just like running or charging a Satyxis Raider into a Stalker, and it doesn't go out so well for her. I think I might have done 1 point, if that.
You did nothing because you missed.
Yeah, so
because I was back up to def 14.
Yep, and I was not mat 7. I thought I was 7, but I'm 6.
I think you're fishing for a crit knockdown, so Severa could maybe kill me.
There was part of that. I think like I was just doing it to do it. I don't know. There were better things to do with this Satyxis Raider, and I just didn't. So I think now I'm still like kind of flirting with how I'm supposed to deal with this Lord of Feast, and I don't think I've come to that conclusion now that I need to deal with it, but right now I'm committing to that. So Deneghra decides to walk around to the backside of Lord of the Feast. I'm trying to make it so that I can possibly get to put some like a crippling grasp or something on the Stalker, but I'm just out, and it probably would have been better to try and figure that out before I got it engaged, but this is just me not used to.
He was already engaging Severa though, so
yeah, it just wasn't great here. So I'm unpacking into the Lord of the Feast now, and I finally, after spending 4 focus to get rid of him, he's gone.
Yeah, because the first one boosted did no damage.
Yeah, it was not great. But he was shadowbound at least, so it made it easier for me to hit. Not like he's hard to hit or anything, but when you're a mat 5 warlock, it's not, or warcaster, it's not super great. So the Bloodgorger that tuffed, it's unfortunate that he tuffed because, I mean, like, it's better that he's alive than dead, but now he's only going to be a contesting piece, and that's what he decides to go up here and do, is just contest that middle flag to put something in the way for Ethan to deal with, and like I said, the more I can do to mess with his time, the better. It is worth noting that at least now Deneghra can score the back zone, so that's going to put me up a point as well. So now I'm trying to figure out a way to get my extra point out of this bottom zone here. I can't get anyone into that back Tharn, which I believe is the unit attachment.
No, the unit attachment is the one that's right next to the flag.
The one that's getting charged by the hag.
Yeah.
So these ladies are running in, and I'm deciding to use the little blood spurt thing that they have to try and pop the other guy. And I don't end up doing that just because it's still dicey. So since the first one didn't really do any damage, I decide to go for grievous wounds on this next one because there's really no way for me to take care of that guy anymore. And I think maybe oh no, you're trying to tough because I did decide to do the blood spurt thing.
No, you did it on the UA, and then like you didn't kill him, so he rapid healed for 1.
Yeah, okay,
and then you did grievous wounds.
So that takes care of that. The only thing that really bums me out now is I wanted to try and get this last Tharn off the flag so that I could score it with my Blood Priestess, but unfortunately that's not quite going to happen here, so I decided to charge her into one of Mohsar's Sands of Fate people, and that allows me to get my Ritual Blade thing going, and that allows me to cast a Venom into this Tharn. So I end up hitting, and I don't do enough damage to kill him.
You do no damage.
Yeah, but he is corroded, so there's that at least. But it's that just could have gone a little bit better for me. Mostly, I think it was positioning on Ethan's part that really helped him out here, because if I can get into that last Tharn, I 100% would go for it, and then I would get a Blood Priestess on that flag, so I'd be able to control that and get up a little bit more on points. But here we end it, and I only score 1, so it's now 6 to 3.
No, you can test myself.
So it is worth noting that Severa ran to contest Ethan's zone. She doesn't have Pathfinder, so I definitely pull the fast one here. She just, like, for whatever reason, I thought she had it. A better way to do this would have had that worthless Satyxis Raider just run into his zone to contest, and then maybe Severa can do some work to the Stalker.
And I missed the free strike on 1 dice because my mind was out. I needed a 5, and I rolled a 2. So 2 minutes to win it. As soon as he starts it, do my frenzy, auto frenzy. He charges at the lady in front of him, thinks his mind is crippled. You get boosted attack. So on 2 dice, I hit, I kill. Now I've cleared that flag. I'm going to try and do some cute stuff with Mohsar. I upkeep Curse of Shadows. I ask if she has stealth. The pop moves up. Doesn't move. Boosts its Gallows-like spell into her. Boosts the hit. Hits. POW 12. Kills. And then you remember she has tough. She toughs. We forget to pull her here, but that would have pulled her D6 to the Gorax. So what I do is I run a blood tracker over to the flag. And then Brigade Call goes. He charges the Duder. He toughs. I buy an attack. I kill. Now Mohsar moves up, teleports to that flag, sprays her in the butt, which he shouldn't have been able to because it should have pulled you. Boost to hit, boost damage, flip turn, done.
Yeah, either way, she's going to die.
Yeah, otherwise she would have been pulled to the Gorax, and Gorax would have just walked, auto-hit, auto-kill. So it's worth noting, I don't think we...
I think it was 8 to 4 right now, because you don't have anything in my zone.
Yep, because it's worth noting, I forgot to put down a Pillars of Salt in his zone to win the game, because I would have went up to 8 to 3.
So I got away easy on that one because I think Ethan could have dropped a pillar in 6 seconds and just ended it right there. So with me having 6 minutes left, I know I don't have all the time in the world, even though it could feel like it because I have so much extra time over Ethan right now. But I need to make my decisions and figure out how to be effective quickly. I need to contest as many elements for the scenario as I can. I'd like to try and score some of my own too to make sure that I get those points to kind of widen the gap. I want to make sure that I can do this because I think that Ethan at 6 seconds is just going to end up running out of time sooner or later. Like if he just doesn't take attacks, I'm going to have enough time to be able to respond to it and just kill other things. Like he can't, whatever Ethan wants to do, and when it comes to ending turns, it just means that I'll get like a minute to do something that might get me another point, and that'll lessen the gap between us, and I might actually get to a point where I get over Ethan because he just can't do things quick enough.
It's worth noting it's top of 5, though.
It's 5. So there's 2 turns that we've got to go through, but I feel comfortable in that if I had the time bopping the clock back and forth, I feel like I could get extra points because you're never going to get into that back zone. I don't think you have enough time to run something in there. And
I have time to just plop us pillars. I have no fear in the board, so I don't need the leech. I just need to literally pull 2 off my caster, put in AoE, flip clock.
But right now, I think Deneghra's trying to do something.
She charged call.
Oh, she charged call because she's the only one who can do it. So this whole idea of trying to score points on Ethan goes out the window because I wanted to try and free up the Blood Priestess because for some reason in my head the math was working out to where like if I leave the zone, I get the Blood Priestess on the flag, so I lose 1 point in my zone, but I get 1 point on the flag, so it's a wash. Like either way this happens, and you can see we're flipping the clock back and forth now because we're not doing transitions with so little time left. And then we realize right here that I put myself into a position where Ethan contests my flag. I'm not scoring my zone, and I
auto-scored my flag on the end of your turn,
yep.
too.
So he ends up getting enough points to close the game out, which is we're going to go back and forth about this for a little while. Yep. So because we kind of forgot about how many points we had.
Because I was up 4 at the end of before his turn. He contests my zone, doesn't score his zone, doesn't contest my flag, so we both go up 1. So I'm still up 4. And then with 3 seconds, I just walk the Argus forward, contest, and then end my turn. So I score my flag going up 10 to 5.
Yep. So Ethan ends up pulling this one out by the skin of his teeth. I think that my other list here was Wither Shadow, or not Wither Shadow Combine, the witches, or the Witch Coven. So Coven. I forget. They're the Witch Coven of Garlgast or something.
Yeah.
But that one was in
Dark Host.
Dark Host, yeah. The gist with the I was thinking maybe that would have been the better drop, but I do believe that probably my biggest mistake here was first Kharybdis being in charge range of the Stalker, and second not getting Parasite on that Tharn unit for those Satyxis Gunslingers to just murder them. Because I think if that top zone or if that top area collapses from Gunslingers, I can have my cake and eat it too up there, because that Stalker still isn't coming into them, or maybe he would have came into them, I'm not sure. But then Kharybdis can just take him out in return, so it's weird. But I felt like even though I lost a bunch in the beginning part of the game, I was able to leverage the clock enough to where things got close, and I definitely did everything I could to try and pull this game back, but I just ran out of stuff and didn't have the pieces later on to contest because I didn't position my models in the right way early enough.
I mean, early on, it's hard to protect yourself from the crevasse and like all the angles Mohsar has. Like, you will clock yourself trying to measure out his vectors, and then like that just helps me because then I don't have to waste my clock doing it.
Well, and I think I was really worried about your ambushers grabbing certain things. So if I had deployed my Satyxis Raiders on the opposite side of that rock so they could just run up that side and then cut through the middle, I think they would have been in a better spot that way instead of getting chunked up in the middle of the table, because then maybe you have to like really think about where you're putting Mohsar instead of going for Gerlak and Axiara.
Mm-hmm.
But and losing that hag right away, that was a real bummer.
Yeah, because I was like, I need to take your Pathfinder and Force Barrier off table. I don't have many guns, but like Mohsar's spray can do work every single turn because I can sack my movement, aim, Sands of Fate. You can't advance after Sands of Fating, but since I've already aimed,
yeah,
I'm still aiming. So I aim to a rat 8, and it's a decent spray. Spray 8, POW 13 with Eyeless Sight, like. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it feels nice. It's just an interesting thing that he's got going on for him. So if I were a more practiced Deneghra player, I probably could have closed this game out. But I just had the deck stacked against me based on how I unpacked with that obstruction in my zone.
Yeah, I did not want that obstruction, so I took the side with the comfy chair again, and it just so happened there was a nice rock over there I did not want to deal with. Because like a lot of my the core of my army, which is like the Mohsar teleporting platform ADs, but like I don't like to shift Ravagers around a big obstruction like that. It's just it takes them too far wide.
Yeah. Overall, this was a fun game. It was great to crank out Cryx for the first time in a long time. I look forward to playing them more. I definitely want to get Scar 3 on the table just because she seems like such a phenomenal caster for Scourge.
Yeah,
so
she is.
That's definitely coming in the future. Otherwise, thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next one.